you think, in light of the current economic climate, MP should turn this money down?
No, I think they should take it. First of all, it is very much below the rate of inflation and therefore sets an example. What other people are out on strike for is inflation-busting pay settlements. The MPs is a very, very modest 2.9. That's the first reason. Second reason, it is, of course, independently set. Hasn't been set by MPs themselves. And thirdly, if you actually look at what MPs are paid, they're running the country. And yet people who are running either public sector or private sector organisations are getting far more. So I don't actually think 2.9% in the current circumstances is unreasonable. There have been times when I thought MPs' pay rises should have been delayed, but not now.
I'm going to be talking a little bit later on in the show and to a trade unionist as well. And I can imagine that what he's going to say to me is, well, look, you've got nurses there saving lives, you know, plugging stab wounds and gunshot wounds and giving people CPR and all of this stuff. And an MP doesn't do any of that, so the pay scale is not fair. What would you say to that?
I would say it's complete nonsense. First of all, you know, it was MPs who got the vaccines. Don't forget, actually, specifically, it was Boris Johnson. You know, that saved lives. Secondly, every individual MP, and this is something we forget, they don't just sit there in Parliament. Every single individual MP is dealing with constituents' problems that can indeed sometimes involve life and death and can involve very, very serious issues on an almost daily basis. So, as I say, 2.9 is OK by me. 5% wouldn't be. 2.9 is.
What about the expenses, Anne? I mean, look, some MPs, some would argue, maybe on the take a little bit.
I'm sure there are some corrupt MPs and always will be and always have been. But the overwhelming majority aren't. There is a very, very strict scrutiny regime now, which came in after the great expenses scandal in 2009. And the expenses are there to reimburse you for expenditure that you have had to lay out. And you've already done it in most cases. It doesn't cover it for the future. So you've already found money from your own pocket that enables you to do your duty, and you're reclaiming it. In no other organisation would that be seen as unreasonable.
In your ideal world, Anne, would you pay them even more? Do we not want to attract the best and the brightest? And you alluded to some people there who could go and coin it in the private sector.
Yeah. Yes, and I think we've got to attract a much higher quality of MP than we've got at the moment. I mean, I think the quality's dire, quite honestly. And we've got to attract a much higher quality. But most of those people who come into Parliament don't actually come in for the pay. They come in for something different. They come in to run the country, to do things which they think are right. And they want in return for that some degree of respect. And of course, MPs don't get that. Everybody says the sort of thing you've said, oh, well, MPs are on the take, etc., etc. They don't get that. And they're very put off